back in the 80s there, the boom dropped out, so I was unemployed at the time. I was working roughly about 6 months at a time. I saw a job posting for a UI program at the YMCA. I applied for the carpenter's position. They had another carpenter they hired, so they asked me if I wanted to go on as a handyman, which is a couple bucks less an hour. 6 months into it, they asked me if I wanted to work for the Y as full-time, as a building operator, or sort of a handyman, I guess, type thing in there. For a couple of years, I worked at the downtown branch, doing the maintenance. We also had the Westmount branch, where I did partial maintenance of the pools, and through the years I've done refurb work, renovations, sort of covered off in buildings when somebody got laid off. It wasn't uncommon to get a call from Wylie saying, you know, go to JP for the next 6 months.
Dwain and his crew are really great at always making sure that they try their best. There was one night though that they probably wish they hadn't answered their phone for. They had an incident, or they had low chlorine in the pool. They needed to add chlorine to the pool, so they had to go to the basement and get it. What had happened is the MOD was coming up in the elevator and they had the floor machine also. And what they had done is they put the container of chlorine on top of the floor machine, and when the elevator jiggled to go, the chlorine spilled all over the elevator. Well, the MOD was in a panic because they didn't want to open the elevator to let the stench out into the building. They had to get out of the elevator. They wanted to neutralize the scent and they couldn't, and they didn't know who to call, so then they got a hold of Dwain. And Dwain, you really need to help us, like it smells really bad, we don't know what to do. So he let them know to put this chemical on top of it to neutralize the scent. Eventually what had happened is they cleaned it up as best they could, but they had to rip the carpet out of the elevator. And I really don't think it was one of Dwain's best days, but he was really professional about it, and I think he can laugh about it now.
I've had the privilege of working with Dwain for 30 years. First started my career at the old Downtown Y, and Dwain was working in the asset and helping with a number of renovation projects. Dwain has so many skills and talents that I don't think people really understand. And just a real guy you can count on, working in the back rooms and behind everybody else to make sure that we have what we need to deliver what we need to on a daily basis. So one of the funny things about Dwain is when I first started my career, I was managing the old Y, we didn't have any offices, and I found it really hard to have a conversation with anybody. And I was always after, you know, the concept of having an office built so I could have a private conversation with the people that were reporting to me. And Dwain promised me that that would happen. And we actually made a floor plan and he laid it out. And I said, yeah, we signed off on it. And I went away on vacation, coming back expecting to find my new office built. What I walked into was a miniature-sized office that he had gone to the trouble of building drywall and putting a window in, had a miniature door, and the door actually had a regular size doorknob on it. But it was screwed onto the partition in my office, and he thought it was hilarious. I didn't think it was so funny, but that was my new office that he committed to building.
Dwain took over the asset of the downtown housing building, a very difficult building, old, everything's worn out, but he kept that building going until he moved on to overseeing all of the buildings and becoming a manager. And that managing now, in his experience, is outstanding. One of the top people I've worked with in my career over the years. Dwain's personal life outside the Y, I think his second home used to be the Y. His second home now is his ice fishing shack that he built. And he loves going up ice fishing and catching those big jacks. He always brings me a picture back of the fish that he caught, and I get jealous because I enjoy fishing also. Great job, Dwain. Glad to work with you. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
I think Dwain is a very easygoing guy. He's a very proud father, proud grandfather. Seems very stress-free at work and stuff. Seems just very content and happy with where he is in life.
I'm not somebody that takes a lot of like pats on the back or accreditation. Like, it's nice to hear that you're doing a good job.